for asking.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. First of all, I just want to say that I am honored to have you here. I'm honored to be in your presence. Thank you so much for giving your time today to chat with me for Quarantini and Mimosas. I am like, oh my God, she's coming! Jekalyn's gonna be here! Woo! I am stoked. So
Thank you for having me.
before we start, I do have some of your biggest fans in the building. We have Diamond D, we have Adriana, we have Kayla B, we have my assistant Mercedes, and then we have Team Jekalyn here. I think there's a few more people that may come, but we did a little like contest, and let me turn down the music. Sorry, did a little contest, and everybody was like, "Invite me, invite me, invite me," but I only chose a few because I'm actually just getting used to Zoom. So I was like, okay, let me
Okay.
and let me just, play it safe today. Even though, shout out to my assistant Mercedes, she is
here. Right.
So, do you have your drink today, or do you have water? Do you have a beverage? Okay, you got the memo. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, because this is Quarantini and Mimosas, so we're gonna call it Quarantini and Water on the Rocks. But I'm drinking Mozart chocolate.
Right. Gotcha.
So, I do want to introduce myself to you. I actually have a show on YouTube. It's called Pedis Mimosas. It's a celebrity interview, and we get pedicures and we drink mimosas. It's my own platform. Oh, you're muted. How are you muted? Are you muted? Yeah. Okay. Are you back? Wait. Okay.
There you
go. Okay. I don't know how that happened. But
yes.
So yeah, I have a show on YouTube, Pedis Mimosas, because the world is going through some crazy things right now. We're still quarantined. I created the quarantine edition of it, so it's called Quarantini and Mimosas. So when we're back in production, you have to promise me that you are actually going to be a guest on the show, so we could get some pedicures, girl, and we can have a face-to-face interaction. And so if I'm in LA or New York, you got to be a guest, okay?
Of course, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. I had to get the verbal yes.
You're fine.
So, how's quarantine life treating you?
It's been great. I will say at the beginning, it was definitely quite an adjustment. Coming from someone who was always on the road, always on the go, and then now having to be limited with my traveling and all of that. But I will say it's been awesome too at the same time because, of course, things have switched to virtual, and now it's like you're able to reach even more people. Even though I love being in the presence of people and just having that experience and being hands-on, but I guess the bright side of it again is that you're able to reach. Your reach is more broader with being on social media and things are virtual. And then surprisingly, things have not stopped for me. Put out my album, Changing Your Story, working on other things outside of music. So things have been a steady pace for me.
Awesome. So what are you working on outside of music?
Well, I am going to soon launch my cosmetic line, which is Jekalyn Beauty. But before that, I'm going to release something else. It's almost in that same field, but for those of you who want to know exactly what it is, you can follow me on my social media at Jekalyn Carr, JeKalynCarr, and look for the blue check mark behind it. But I'll be posting about that very soon.
Okay, so real quick, I'm going to go back to talking about quarantine life in a second, but you just said Jekalyn Beauty. I think I want to know more about it if you don't mind. So is it like a full cosmetic line? Is it just lips?
Absolutely.
Is it like blush, eye stuff, like everything?
Yeah.
Okay, so
yes.
It's a girl's dream then.
Of course. Well, just to give you a little backstory, anyone who knows me or grew up around me, you know that I love all things beauty. I have loved it for a long time. I was a little girl who packed on lip gloss, always in the mirror. And so I just love helping people feel good about themselves, both spiritually and naturally. And so I've always wanted to have my own cosmetic line, which will be definitely a wide range of things. I love love skincare as well as makeup. And being able to do something like that, it has just been a dream of mine. And I just believe in doing things in the right timing. And the time is now, and I'm excited about it.
Timing is everything. How did you know that the time was right to launch your beauty line?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that when you house a lot of gifts, so many times if you're not careful, you can kind of spread yourself in too many areas at once. And so it's best to like build in one and then you go from there. And so, for me, it was the speaking, then the singing and everything else that I desire to do after that. So it's like you're constantly building. And that's how it is even with me now, because there's so much in me, like things that, people have not seen yet that I am tapping to now and I am getting ready to tap into. And so that's just kind of like where I am right now, just building and constantly allowing those gifts to flow out of me within the right times.
Yes, building. So singing, beauty line, speaking, entrepreneur, like what else? What is your favorite thing out of all these things all these gifts and talents that you have? What would you say is at the top?
That That's hard for me to choose because all of them they're a part of me. But I will say, if I had to say one, it'll probably be the speaking, because the speaking is what was the foundation for me. I literally traveled across the world 2 years before my music and everything else expanded to the world. I started speaking at the age of 13, and then at the age of 15, that's when Greater Is Coming, which is my first breakout song, came out. And then it just started climbing from there. It's Yours, You're Bigger, all those, good songs that God has given me. But I would have to say it was a speaking, because it was just like that gift, that place that God had me to just allow everything else to flow.
That is incredible. 13. Do you remember the first speech that you gave?
Mm-hmm.
The first ministering speech that you gave? Do you remember?
Yes. So my first sermon was actually Greater Is Coming.
Okay.
I
Oh,
preached it
wow.
in Atlanta, Georgia. Yes. But the first sermon that went viral was God is Interrupting the Plans of the Enemy.
I can't, but yo, I swear, I feel like you've been here before. Do people tell you that often? Like you have
Yes.
an old soul. Like it's beautiful. Like I feel like I'm talking to somebody like, because I'm a lot older than you. And I feel like I'm either talking to somebody my age or a little bit older. It's like really incredible. It really is. You're muted again. Why does that keep happening? Wait, hold on. All right, there we go. That really is incredible. Is
Thank
it your
you.
parents? Like who's behind you? Who's the force behind you besides God? Who's the force behind
Yes.
you?
Oh, yes. You definitely hit the nail on the head. Definitely my parents. I come from a great background. Ever since I can remember, my parents has always taught not just spiritual values, but they've taught life values, and a lot of things that they have taught me, I've definitely held on to and will continue to hold on to. And they have been a very essential and important part of my journey. A lot of people, they see me out front, but you don't see the people who's behind the scenes, such as, and I must say, this is like basically a family empire.
Right.
I like to call it the Carr legacy. We built this thing together. My dad is my manager. Literally, he wears a lot of hats. My mom, everybody plays their part in making sure that the dream is what it's supposed to be in reality. And so, but it all started from that strong foundation from my parents.
Yeah, I know this is probably a question I should be asking your parents and not you, but how does a 13-year-old at the time, obviously, keep grounded, like stay grounded? How? I'm pretty sure you can answer this because you're grown.
Well, I guess it helps too when you have the right people around you, people that can help hold you accountable. I always like to say people that can celebrate you when you're right and correct you when you're wrong, people that can continue to push you, people that believe in you just as much as you believe in yourself, people that want you to succeed. And when you want a person to succeed, you're going to give them everything that you need, whether that be advice or anything that you see that is needed within each time period. You're going to give it to them, and even sacrifice. And so I think that was really what helped me too, especially at that age.
Oh my God, can we talk about that a little further about sacrifice? Can you,
Mm-hmm.
so sacrifice as a 13-year-old versus sacrifice as you're 23 now, right? Can you like,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
can you even, can you even make sense of the two? Like, does a 13-year-old even know what sacrifice is? Really? Did you really understand the concept
Oh,
of that?
yeah, absolutely. And again, it goes back to my parents really teaching me, and along with my siblings, about it. And one thing that they saw was my desire to be great, my desire to do what I love to do, singing and speaking and all of that. And so they will always tell us, with a great anointing or greatness, it sometimes you have to sacrifice, and it's just that. But the thing about it is, after every sacrifice, there is a reward. And I'm so grateful to be able to live in my reward, and things are constantly happening. And, I wouldn't trade anything a part of my journey for anything in the world.
Do you ever feel like you missed anything as a kid?
Absolutely not. Because another thing that I used to hear my parents talk about was balance. And that was even before the world knew who Jekalyn Carr was. We would take those moments and we would balance. We would go on vacation, and still do go on vacations. And I would say, even for me, like during the time that, because I was homeschooled. So during the time that I was supposed to have prom, because my school clearly didn't have prom, that was the same time that Ebony Magazine was honoring me alongside LeBron James and so many more. So, I'm like, who needs a prom?
Yeah, yeah.
But it was just a great experience. But being able to have that balance, starting from even before 13, before everything took off, it's been beautiful. My journey has definitely been beautiful. Not to say there weren't any ups and downs, but it's been a beautiful journey.
That is awesome. A lot of people can't say that, you know? Like that is really, really, really a
Mm.
blessing. It really is. So I did want to talk about your dad though. It's so funny that you started to bring up, your family and your father, your mom and your dad being behind you. I want to talk about your dad in particular and the role that he plays in your life. Because I know there's a lot of like, there might even be some young girls right now on the check-in that may not have the father figure, and wish they had. They wish they were daddy's little. I know I wish for a long time that I was daddy's girl, and I never got that opportunity to experience that. So what can you say about the role that your dad plays in your life? And if there are some girls right now that are missing, that fatherly love, what can you say?
Yeah. One thing about it is, um, I always I'm always thankful for the role that my dad plays, not just in what I do, because anything that he needs to do, any hat that he needs to wear, he's going to wear it. But I'm grateful that he keeps that father figure role. We always had a balance with the relationship. We never allow the business or things that my purpose and all of that get in the way of our father-daughter relationship. And because of that, it's been awesome. But I will say to those, who feel like you lack that, I know it's painful. I know it's hurtful. But I honestly believe that despite what your background is, despite what you did not have compared to others, God can still use that and cause you to be successful and great in life. And I honestly believe also that you will be a powerful testimony, because there's many people who may be like yourself, who feel like they cannot move forward in life because they don't have that. They lack certain certain things. But when you can push through, you can fight through all of that, and you say, no, listen, I'm going to allow this obstacle to help catapult me to where I need to be. Many people will be inspired by that. So to sum it all up in a nutshell, despite where you are or what your background or history is, you can still be great and successful in life. Don't allow it to control you. You control it, because again, you were destined to be great.
Yes, you are destined to be great. I love, love, love that. So you have earned 8 Billboard #1s. I made sure I looked this up to make sure that I got it right. So you have earned 8
Yes.
Billboard #1s before the age of 21. How do you
Mm-hmm.
process all of that? Wait, time out. So I'm gonna ask you 2 questions in one. The first question is, that was the first
Okay.
question. So the second one is, but I think this trumps the first one. Do you know how incredible you really are? Like, do you really know? Do you really, really know?
Thank you.
Like, do you
Thank
really
you so
know?
much.
So how do you process that as a 20-year-old? Like, how? All this success before 21 years old, like, that's dope. That's super dope. How do you
Thank
take it
you.
all in?
I must say that a lot of times I'm definitely speechless. When you're going and you're working on your assignment, you're doing what you're doing, a lot of times you don't really stop and see all that you have accomplished or really take it all in. And to see and hear that, it just leaves me speechless sometimes. And I would say, even before we got into this, um, we knew that God would use me to do great things, but did not know that it would be to this capacity. And I'm just blessed, as an independent gospel artist. As I stated, my family and I, we have our own family record label, Laundry Al Music Group, Aljalon Publishing Company. And it's just been great just watching everything that we have set out to do, set out to accomplish, just take off, and being able to inspire people through that. Because I feel like, what's the purpose of doing it all and you're not helping others, you're not inspiring them, you're not encouraging them, and being able to release music, and not only through what we do but through our lives alone, to help push people and just let them know, hey, you can do it too. You can conquer, you can win in life too. It has been such a pleasure, and it definitely leaves me speechless sometimes.
Yeah, totally. I can relate to that even with my own show. Like, I want my show, Quarantini Mimosas, Pedis Mimosas, always to be inspiring, and to be motivational, because then what's the purpose? So I can totally relate on that level, for sure.
Exactly.
So how does
Yes.
Jekalyn make time for herself? What do you do for fun when you're outside of, the gospel
Yes.
space or the singing space or the behind the, doing the sermons? Like, how do you make time for you?
Yes. So I just make time. I love doing things. I'm a very fun person, first of all. I love
Uh-huh.
to laugh. I love to have very clean fun. I'm a family person, so I love when my family get together and we have these nice family times, playing volleyball and all of that. I love ATV riding. I love horseback riding.
Okay.
I love watching television. My favorite shows are Martin, Grey's Anatomy, and Golden Girls. I love movies. I mean, though I'm
No,
very
see,
simple, and so it really doesn't take a lot from me. Those are just some of the things that they're like my go-tos, and I
girl, you
enjoy
was
every
here
bit of it
before.
when I do get a chance to do it.
See, I'm telling you, you was here before. You were here. I have never heard a 23-year-old say that their favorite show is Martin, Golden Girls. Like, come on. Like, you was here before, for real. You was. So, can we talk for a second about discernment?
Yeah.
You are the preacher. You're gonna be the spiritual therapist for me today, if you don't mind, and all of the participants that are here on this Zoom interview. So I want to talk about discernment, because you talk about the enemy a lot in your music, and I want to know what you think of being able to discern the enemy. Because I feel like sometimes a lot of the times in life we may have on blinders and don't even realize who's not for us and don't really understand, like,
Exactly.
okay, these are signs that this is somebody that's not for you or this situation is bad for you. So how do you
Exactly.
so how do you, like, what's your take on discernment? Are you there?
I always say anything that opposes the truth, anything that opposes who you really are, anything that opposes where you're headed to, your destiny, your greatness, then it might not be cut out for your journey. It might not be for you. If you feel and sense that it has the potential to hold you back, whether that be things or people, whatever the issue may be. And one thing you can always kind of know by is when you find yourself always frustrated by this thing or by this person, it's just always something happen, very chaotic. And if you're someone like me, I love peace. I live a peaceful life. And with that being said, if it does not supports my peace, then it has to go. And so, sometimes you just have to get to that place. And then when you're a kind-hearted person, a lot of times you're like, oh, I'll give it another try. I'll give,
Mm-hmm.
but at the end of the day, you just have to, everybody has a breaking point, and you have to just come and just ask yourself, do I want to stay in this place or stay connected to this thing or this person and be stagnated, or do I want to release myself from it and grow? And so it's just all about how bad do you want it, or if you want it. And then if you feel like you can't do it on your own, sometimes it helps if you can have certain people that are connected to you, or if not people, somebody that can continue to push you and help you fight and just speak over you and you speaking over yourself. Because sometimes it doesn't just help if others are doing it. You have to do it yourself. You have to do the work yourself, because this is your life, this is your journey, and you have to put the work in. And so those are some of the things that how I know, and then how I overcome.
Nice, nice. Have you ever had an issue with discernment? Discerning who or what could be for you or not for you? Have you ever struggled with that?
It, yeah. It's not that I've had the it's not that I've had the issue with it, but when I say kind-hearted person, I'm one of those.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
in that number. It's not that I had the issue of with the discernment. Sometimes you just feel like, oh, maybe they'll get it right, maybe it'll come back around, maybe, you know what I'm saying. And if it just keep on, you're in a circle, nothing, it's like you're not moving forward, then at some point you just have to let it go. So that was kind of like, some maybe encounters that I've had.
yeah, yeah. I totally get that for sure. The kind-hearted person usually, oh, I know. So you have this
Yes.
album, this live album, Changing Your Story. What made you decide to call it
Yes.
Changing Your Story? Let's get into it.
Absolutely. So, Change Your Story is my first outdoors live album. And I was so excited about it. It was very different, but it was amazing. And we were outdoors, but you can really, really feel the presence of God and just people just experiencing their breakthrough. And I wanted to capture all of that as I possibly could for the visuals as well as the album within itself. But, I love the album because anybody who knows me knows that I'm all about putting the word of God into our atmospheres, because I know that's what causes things to move and things to shift. That's what your miracles and everything else you need from God responds to. And so from the beginning to the end, you're going to get the word in some shape, form, or fashion. And, I'm blessed to be able to be in position to be able to encourage people even through this album, because I feel that it's definitely all about identity, and also helping us to understand as believers how God pleasures in blessing his children. He is always on the side of the righteous. The Bible says no good thing will he withhold from them who walks uprightly. I understand that as I'm operating in the plans of God, any and everything that I desire, heaven will respond to, because that's what his word declares. And so that's what this album is all about, not just spiritually, but naturally, not just naturally, but spiritually. It gives you the best of both worlds and helping you to understand what God has for you and how God doesn't mind blessing his children.
How God doesn't mind blessing his children. Girl, 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 girl. Woo! So what was your creative process like on each song? Well, what's your creative process like when you make music, period?
So for each album is different. For
Okay.
this album, God literally took me into a special place for 40 days. And little did I know that within this place, he would give me every song for the album. When I say place, I mean like spiritually,
Right.
mentally, all of that. And I would literally be out, and I can say even for Changing Your Story, I was out ministering, and I was singing something else, and then that song came along, like literally dropped in my spirit. I know you've been defeated before, but that won't be your story, no. So it was like it made a huge impact on the people of God that night, and you would have thought I had already recorded it and people had already heard the song. That's how much they loved it. And we just knew that that would be the next single, and that would be the title for the next album. You've Been Restored. Same thing. I was somewhere speaking, and during altar call, the song "You've Been Restored Back Where You," like, it's just literally started coming to me out of nowhere. Finished writing it within that same time period of the 40 days. The Blood Never Loses. All of that. Each song came from that special place, and I knew that it was going to be such a positive and major impact because of the place that I was in. And I know that I had never been there before. And so that's why I say for each album is different.
So what part of the story has changed for you?
A lot. My life in general is a testimony. I tell people all the time, all of the songs that I sing, I'm literally giving you pieces of my testimony as well. I'm
Yeah.
not just singing these declarations, but I'm singing from a place where I've witnessed this happen, and I'm constantly witnessing this happen. That's how I can sing it with such conviction that God can change your story, because I've watched God take us from little to much. I've watched God, take us from not knowing how it's going to happen to seeing it happen. I've seen the hand of God move. And so being able to minister from that place, is such a blessing. And I love being able to express that even through my music, because there's been many times that God has changed my story. But I would say so far, the biggest one is definitely my life within itself.
Jeez. Girl, you is deep. What can you say to a non-believer? What can you say to somebody who's like, I don't believe in God. I don't believe that there's a God that can change my story. Like, what do you say to them? What do you even think of these types of people?
First of all, God is love, and he loves you. There's absolutely positively no place you can be in as far as sin that is so deep and so intense that God cannot change. God cannot pull you from out of. He has the ability to change your story even from that, if you desire for him to do so. Why? Because God has promised all of his children an expected end. And I believe that even with your spiritual life, you shall have an expected end if that's what you desire. I know sometimes the enemy try to play with our minds and make us feel as though because we've messed up and we've done this, we've done that, that there's no hope for us. But I'm
Right.
sorry, I'm a preacher. I got to declare the devil is a liar. I believe that in God, all things are made new. And once you come to him, he can give you a new life. And not only that, but everything that you did is no longer there. God can wipe your slate clean, and you continue to move forward into what he has for you. He's not holding your past over your head, what you did over your head. So don't you hold it over your head. Walk into your new life. Walk into what God has for you. And then sometimes the new life requires new company. You know, you got to hang around people that, again, it goes back to the connections. You hanging around people that can support your new life, that can help push you as you're on your journey, because if not, it can make you backtrack. It can make you go back to where you came from. But most importantly, Jesus loves you, and he wants to love you into better.
He wants to love you into better. What is the biggest miracle that you have experienced? Well, not you, but that you've witnessed, I should say, in someone that you maybe minister to or someone that you know. What's the biggest miracle that you've seen?
Um,
Am I ready?
yes. That's hard. This is okay. So, I can just speak even from testimonies.
Okay.
I've gotten so many testimonies of how so many people have been blessed, and God has used my ministry to just inspire them and to give them hope. And I would even say for one young woman, I was somewhere and I had to speak. And afterwards, she gave me this note. And she said that she was contemplating, and she told God, listen, I can't do this anymore. If I go to this service and there's nothing here for me, or nothing that, you know, blesses or touches my soul, I'm going to end my life tonight. And she stated in the note that, you know, of course, God just really blessed her life, and whatever word that God gave me that night, it helped her to see who she was and that God wanted better for her. And she's alive today, and you know, from my understanding, doing amazing things. And so that was definitely a great testimony, and so many others. I remember one time being on stage and a young man literally flatlined. He died. And I was actually singing, and we stopped everything and just went into prayer. And right before our eyes, within that same service, God raised him up, literally. And so there's just so much that I've witnessed, not just in my life, but in others and right before my eyes. And it's just been such a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to watch miracles being performed, not just for you, but for others as well.
Yo, I love questions like that. Like, I love to hear because it's just a miracle. You know, it's kind of hard, it's surreal to process like a miracle, because I believe wholeheartedly that miracles are real and possible. I believe in God. So I love, you know, asking questions like that. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. So
Yes.
we're going to do a quick little think fast round, and I'm just going to throw out something,
Okay.
either a person's name or whatever, and you just tell me the first thing that comes to mind, okay? All right. Smokey Norfolk.
Okay. Amazing. A legend. He's, oh my gosh, when you listen to his catalog and his music, is just a blessing.
Okay. One Nation Under God.
Um, my album.
Yeah. that's
Yeah.
that's the first, my album. Okay. Kirk Franklin.
I smile, even though it hurts me, I smile. First thing came to mind.
The Life Project.
You're bigger than the universe. You're bigger than the sun and the stars. You're bigger than the things, oh my, that could tear me apart.
Aw. Tasha Cobb.
For your glory, of course.
Yep. It's Gonna Happen.
Ooh, definitely my song, one of my singles, one of my favorite songs from myself, actually.
Mm-hmm. All right. Kiera Shear.
Um, it's the God in me. What is it you think you see when you see? Yeah.
I love that song. Shirley
Yes.
Caesar.
Oh, she's a legend. She's a powerhouse. She's a queen. She's all that, all that.
Yep. Greater is coming.
That is my first breakout song. That was the song that basically led the way for every other song and album that I've had.
Dope, super dope. And then last but not least, Promise.
Promise. That was that was one of my first albums when I was a little girl. I believe I was 12 years old when I released Promise, between 11 to 12, one of the two. And it was kind of like one of the kickstarts for me when it came to that album. So if you know the Promise album, like, you know, Jekalyn.
Yeah. Super dope. Super, super dope. So tell us something that we don't know about you by just looking at your social media.
Okay. Fun facts I would give you. My favorite color is green. My favorite shade of a green is emerald. I'm obsessed with white roses. I love chocolate. I love animals, all animals except for reptiles.
No reptiles.
Not at all. No, thank you. Yeah, and I think I stated too that I love ATV riding, horseback riding.
Yeah, that's cool. So are you dating?
Mm-hmm.
Is it hard to date in your, like,
of course,
with your status and what you do, and not even so much that, like, even being a Christian, like what's dating like for you? Like, for real, for real.
Mm-hmm. For some people it's different. I mean, just because you're Christian, that doesn't mean we can't have a special someone as well. It's just, it depends on what that person's desires are, what they see for themselves. And, you know, I could just even speak for me. There's certain things that I saw and still see for myself. You know, I understand that I've come too far. You know, I've worked too hard, and just you know, just be with anything or just anybody rather. And, you know, of course, I'm definitely dating. The man who I'm with is Jawaan Taylor, who is a NFL player, and he's just amazing person. And I'm so grateful that God placed him in my life. So yes.
Yay! How long have you two been together? Can you hear me?
It's been a minute. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yes,
this
it's
this
been a
so this has
minute.
been your man for a while now. Okay, I'm just late to the party apparently. Okay,
Yes.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that, but thank you for clarifying. You know, everybody always wants to talk about dating during interviews. Like, if you don't ask who you're dating or how's dating going or whatever, it's like, damn, you could have asked that. So I didn't want to leave that out. Didn't want to leave that out. So before I let you go, does anybody have any questions? Y'all can throw some questions in the chat if you would like to. And then we'll do a quick little Q&A, and then we will send Jekalyn on her merry way. So, what's the craziest / dumbest thing you believed as a child? Can you hear me? Oh, okay. Frozen for a second.
That's a good question. Um, I have no clue. That's a very good question. That's something I really have to think about.
Okay, you can get back to me on that one, okay?
Yes.
Adriana Hubbard wants to know, who's your favorite rapper? Do you listen to rap music?
I don't.
Right.
Well, does she be like gospel? I would say Canton Jones. Yeah, definitely Canton Jones is probably my top pick.
Okay, all right. Kayla B wants to know, as the youngest minister at my church, is there anything you can say about how to gain respect from the adults while you are a young person? That's a good question, Kayla.
Gain respect for what now?
So Kayla wants to know, as a young, because she's a young minister at her church. She said, is there
Okay.
anything that you can say about how to gain respect from the adults while you are young, while you are a young person? I think she's like 15 or 16.
Yeah. Well, one thing you don't want to do is feel like you have to prove anything to anyone. I feel like if it's something that you're born to do, your purpose to do, something God has called you to do, He's going to do that for you. You just continue to stay humble and do what you do what you love to do, let it flow from you, and then eventually you will start seeing the respect and everything else that you desire from people come. And one thing you don't want to do too is do what you do for people, for validation, for the exception of people. Because one thing about it, if God has already validated you, that's all you need. Just continue to freely and genuinely do what you love to do.
Yes, yes, that's a great response. Great answer. Chosen for Greatness by Greater wants to know, what do you do to stay grounded? How do you prevent yourself from being so heavenly bound that you're no earthly good without compromise, of course? Wow.
You know, one thing about me is I don't like to allow myself to get wrapped up and tied up in just a lot of things. Some things are distractions. But at the end of the day, you just have to learn how to just focus. It helps when you can ask God to give you that certain focus or certain amount of focus that you need for each assignment. Because especially when you know that it's meant to make a major impact. And one thing that you have to recognize with the enemy is that he's going to try to send things to distract you, whether that be people, things, it's situations, whatever it is. But yet you have to, as we talked about, discern, and then also you have to continue to push and fight. Your fight matters when you desire to reach your destiny. I don't care who you are, youngest to the eldest, anybody who is successful or anybody who's of great caliber will tell you that it's a fight when you want to reach your destiny. And we have to learn how to value that and understand, you know, whatever we have to do to fight, whatever we have to do to push, that's what we have to do. Even if that means us staying focused, even if that means us, shutting certain things out. Maybe it's social media, maybe it's the television, whatever it is that is distracting you and keeping you from that place, do what you have to do so that you can stay grounded and you can continue to succeed in life.
Great, great answer. Y'all better take it all in now. This is like a once in a lifetime opportunity. Take it all in now. So Team Jekalyn wants to know, do you see a mentorship program in the near future?
Definitely so. I definitely have been asked about that many times. And to be honest with you, I already do it now without even having a program. There's
Yeah,
people who always DM me and, contact me and all of that. And I do my best when I have the opportunity to do so to give them the advice that they're looking for and that they need. And so I do that now without even having an established mentorship program. But who knows? It may be something I do in the near future. But I definitely have a heart for people and encouraging them, whether that be openly or privately.
I totally see you doing that for sure. I totally see it. And then we have one last question from Brooklyn. She wants to know, this is a really great question. As a young woman, should I stop being friends with my friends that don't believe in God?
um, I have to say, walk light. I will have to say, be very strategic, be very careful. Because it's just like anything else. Sometimes when the mindsets are not in the same place, um, it can have an effect on you. And so I feel like if you're not strong enough, if you can't handle it, then I would encourage you to do so. But if you can handle it, be very careful. Be very strategic, and don't allow, sometimes how they think and, their ways to influence you. But you have to be very strong, though.
Yep. And then Kayla wants to know, what's your top 3 songs on One Nation Under God album?
Definitely You Will Win. You Will Win, Jesus Reigns Forevermore, and It's Yours.
You go, Kayla. And then before I let you go, we're gonna have to do a toast. But do you care to sing for us before you leave? Whatever's on your heart.
You said sing?
If you'd like.
Sure.
Whatever's on your heart.
Any request?
Any requests, guys? What do you guys want to hear Jekalyn sing? Any requests? Drop it in the chat.
And the most named song, then I'll do that one.
All right. The most named song she's going to do. So go ahead, drop it. So Kayla says, Stay With Me. Team Jekalyn says, Jehovah Jireh. Changing your story.
Changing Your Story.
Yeah. Anybody else? Bigger.
Oh, there's 4 different songs already.
That is 4 different songs. Jehovah Jireh again.
Okay, I'm just gonna do Change Your Story.
Okay.
Because Jehovah Jireh, Change Your Story is in a tie. I know you've been defeated before, but that won't be your story no more. And I know you failed before, but that won't be your story no more. I know you've been sick before, but that won't be your story no more. Generational curses, that won't be your story no more. 'Cause God is changing your story. God is changing your story. God is changing your story. God is changing your story.
You have been a joy. Thank you so much, like I said in the beginning, for spending your 8:00 hour with me. I really appreciate you. This was great. I hope everybody was touched in one way or another. I know I was. And before you go, we have to do a toast. Where's your water on the rocks over there? Do you have any rocks in your water? No ice. Okay, so what are we toasting to? What would you like to toast to?
Our story's changing.
I like that. Simple enough. Cheers. Cheers to you. Thank you for being a guest on Quarantini Mimosas tonight. I'm going to upload this interview to YouTube and Instagram so everybody can see it. And I hope you will share it onto your platform as well. And keep being great. Keep being a light, a huge light in this world. You are, oh my God, like, wow. Thank you for this conversation. And I'm pretty sure everybody else is thankful as well. And you enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you. You too. And again, thank you for having me.
Always. You got to come back, girl. And like I said, if I go to LA, if I'm in LA shooting, or if I come to, you're in Atlanta, right? Or if I come to Atlanta with the show, you have got to be a guest. Everybody wants a pedicure and a cool little drink. So we're going to have to do that, okay?
Gotcha.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. You have a good night, okay?
You too.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye, guys. Thanks for being my guest today. My studio audience, I should say. All right. Let me stop this recording.